Hi guys, welcome back to the Dirty Boots Bushcraft channel. We're here today with another episode of solo bushcraft survival. We're going to be looking at a few different things in today's video. We're going to look at some camp cooking, a kind of more in-depth guide in starting fires. For now, we're going to be making a feather stick. So, I have got with me, I've batoned a log. This is fairly dry. It's been stored somewhere dry enough to make it not completely wet through. We've also got my new bushcraft knife from Birch. This is great. It's full tang, meaning it goes all the way through the metal. It's not foldable, high carbon steel and razor sharp. If you want a proper look at this amongst my other tools, check out the video on the other playlist we've got, which is our kind of specific videos, our kind of in-depth, more kind of specific videos, and I kind of show all of my equipment and my different knives, what they're for, and yeah, it's great, so check that out if you would like to see that. So what we're going to do, we're just going to make a feather stick. Obviously this is going to be used for after we've got our kind of tinder, and this will kind of help us start our fire. So the best way I found is to plant your knife straight into a log like that and actually pull the stick towards you. So trying to go like this probably would work well enough, but we kind of want to be hitting these ridges, so you don't really want to be hitting the knife flat like that, because it's going to be quite hard for the knife to shave off fine curls. So what you actually want to do is try and hit some of these ridges. Now you don't want to go too much like this, because you're going to go in too deep and cut a wedge out of your piece of wood. You also don't really want to be going like that, because they're going to be incredibly fine and not great. So try and kind of find a medium of both. So we're just going to try and use as much of the stick as we can, because a lot of people kind of just stick at the bottom and that's not great. You want to use as much of it as you can, and then just make some fine curlings like that. Hitting those ridges wherever you can. Okay, so I've made a few feather sticks, which I'll show you in a minute. But yes, so what we're going to do is set up our tinder to start this fire. As you can see, you might be wondering what that is. This is basically a portable cooking stand, so you can put a fire underneath it, put some hot coals or a log underneath it, and rest your frying pan or pot. The best part about it was it took me about 5 seconds to set up. You didn't need to put any screws in or anything, which was great. I've kind of cleared the fire pit out. There are the kind of coals. These are great, honestly. So once your fire's kind of going, you can just literally pick up some coal, some charcoal, and just pop it onto the fire for extra fuel. There are a few logs from last time, but they are very, very kind of wet. A few kind of half-burnt logs, which we can use once the fire's hot enough. But right now we want to be using kind of as dry as possible. So this is how I like to do it. So I've got a log here. It's fairly flat. You can put your tinder straight onto the ground. It's just this happens to be quite a nice dry log. And I like to put my tinder in there because I feel like even though it's not too wet today, it's rained recently, so you kind of don't want to be putting your tinder straight on the ground. You can dig into the ground a little bit if the surface layer is very, very wet, but still I think it's going to be quite soggy. So the best thing to do is find some bark, or in this case I've got a log. I'm just going to kind of put my tinder on there and yeah, get going. What I'm going to do is use some birch bark. Now birch bark is fantastic as a fire starter. Its bark is full of oil, so you go up to a birch tree, silver birch tree, just take some of the bark, and it's an absolutely fantastic way to start a fire. Even better if you shave it very fine, but we should be all right just lighting some thin bits of birch bark today. We're just going to grab a generous amount because it really burns strong and hot, but it will be used up quite quickly. So I'm just going to grab a fair bit. I've got my feather sticks and shavings of wood and small sticks ready to go. So what you want to do is grab your fire steel, your ferro rod, and just put some hot sparks onto the birch bark, which should ignite. There we go. So as you can see, that black flame is all of the oil. Then we just want to grab our feather stick, pop that on, and it smells lovely as well. It smells really like wood. And then you just want to pop on small, that's a kind of unfinished feather stick, we can pop that on, and it should light. I'm going to just pop a tiny bit more birch bark into the tinder there. So as you can see, that has lit very, very well, but now it's a kind of fight to keep it going. So luckily it's managed to stay lit. All I had to do is add a tiny bit more birch bark. As you saw before, it was very close to dying out. So then you just want to kind of pile really, really thin, dry sticks or bits of wood. I've just bat on some wood. You kind of want to pile it, I like piling it a bit like a Jenga. So trying to do the kind of grid, so like squares, because then it gives it some room to breathe, and it's lets the fire burn really, really hot, and not just die. So yeah, from here I'm just going to keep on kind of adding some sticks, and you really, really don't want to be adding any logs until it's really, really hot. So as you can see, we've kind of gone, we've got the fire hot enough to kind of upgrade from sticks to cut-offs of logs, and I've actually started to put some larger logs on. As you can see, it's a bit of white smoke, which means they're slightly damp, but that's fine. But the really important thing to keep in mind is only going up from kind of sticks and small bits of wood to logs. Once the fire is really hot, there should be lots of kind of glowing bits of wood before you do that, and it should just feel hot. It's been a while, and as you can see now that we've got a full-on proper fire, we've been through quite a few logs, and you kind of know that you're ready to start cooking food properly and really, really easily when you've got loads and loads and loads of kind of hot glowing coals. So I've kind of positioned this cooking stand. I've made a little bit of a kind of bed of hot coals, and we should be ready now to cook some food. So we are going to cook some sausages today. That's also what we've cooked before, but you can't really go wrong, and they're very easy to cook. At one point we'll do a video on campfire bread. Today I've just bought a kind of mostly cooked loaf of bread with me. I've got this kind of skewer, which is useful just if I need to transfer some food, and also it pokes a hole in the sausages, which means they kind of can let out air. I've got some beans as well, but it would be a kind of bad idea to cook the beans at the same time as the raw sausages. You kind of want to put the beans in afterwards. So yeah, we're going to go and put this on the fire now. This is nice and hot now. A good test is if you kind of put some water on the Well, I've found if I just put a bit of water on the cooking stand and it's kind of sizzling, then it's probably been there for long enough. So we're just going to put these sausages there. You probably don't want them to sizzle a lot instantly. That might mean your frying pan's too hot. I'm no chef, but I've burnt sausages before by having too hot of a campfire. So once they start to sizzle, you can kind of just make sure you're turning them around enough. Make sure you're heating them evenly. Okay, so our sausages are nearly done. As you can see, ever so slightly charred, but that's the way I like them, so that's fine. So I'm just going to put the beans in now. Like I said before, you don't really want to add them earlier than this. My sausages and beans are now done. I'm just heating up some bread. As you can see, the coals are a little bit dull now. They're not as glowing hot, but that's probably a good thing. I don't want to char the bread too much. So now I'm just going to put this fire out, drench it with a bit of water. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time at Dirty Boots Bushcraft. Cheers guys.